শ্রোত্রজিহ্বে ন চ ঘ্রাণনেত্রে ন চ ভূমিঃ ভোমো ন তেজোর্নভঃ চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং ন চ প্রাণসঙ্কো ন বৈ পঞ্চবায়ু নব সপ্তধাতু নব পঞ্চকোশা নব পাণিপাদৌ ন চ বাস্তবায়ু চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং নমে বিশ্বরাগো নমে লোক পাদনৈব মে নৈব মাপসায় ধর্ম ন চ অর্থ ন কামো ন মোক্ষো চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং ন পুণ্যং ন পাপং ন সুখং ন দুঃখং ন মন্ত্র ন তীর্থ ন বেদ ন যজ্ঞা অহং ভোজনং নৈব ভোজং ন ভোক্তা চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং ন মৃত্যু ন শঙ্কা ন জাতি ভেদ পিতা নৈব মে নৈব মাতা ন বন্ধু ন মিত্রং গুরু নৈব শিষ্যা চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং চিদানন্দরূপ শিবোহং শিবোহং অহং নির্বিকল্প নিরাকার রূপং বিভূত্যা চ সর্বত্র sarvoindriyana nachasam katham dvaiva mukti nameya Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivo, Shivo.
Now do the basic chanting. আমরা সবাই chanting করব, participate করব। Om Bhagme Manasi Pratisthita Manaho Me Vachi Pratisthita
Om Bhagme Manasi Pratisthita Mano Me Vachi Pratisthita
Ave Ave Medhi
Ave
Vedasya Manistaha Shrutam Me Ma Prahasiha Anidite Sangradami Idang Bodhiswami Satyang Bodhiswami
Kritam vadishami, satyam vadishami.
Amabatu Tadavaktaramabatu
Tatmavadu tadvaktaramavadu.
Bhutu Bhaktaram Bhutu Bhaktaram Om Shanti Shanti Shanti
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Payantu Mamangani Bhak Prana Chokshu
Om Payantu Manani
Rotramataha Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani
Srodamata Indriyani Sarvani
Tadyam Brahma Upanishadam
Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam
Brahma Nirakuriyat Mama Brahma Nirakaro
Maham Brahma Nirakuriyat
Nirakarnamastu Nirakarnameastu
Anirakkaramastu Anirakkaramistu
Namaste Moi Santo Te Moi
Om
धर्मस्य
नर्मदे मयि सन्तु मयि सन्तु
शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
पूर्णमादः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते
पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते
पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते
पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेव अवशिष्यते
शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
सहनो भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु
ॐ शानो भवतु शानो भुनक्तु
कर्वावहै
वीर्यं करवावहै
तेजस्विनो अधितमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै
तेजस्विनो दीतमस्तु विद्विषावहै
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
शं मित्रः शं वरुणः शं नो भवति अर्यमः
ॐ शामित्रः शां वरुणः शां भवति
शं नो इन्द्रः बृहस्पतिः शं नो विष्णुरुक्रमः
शां न इन्द्रियः बृहस्पतिः शां न विष्णुरुक्रमः
ब्रह्मणे नमः देवायो
नमो ब्रह्मणे नमो देवाय
प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मसि
त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मयसि
त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि
त्वमेव
त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि
वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि
सत्यं वदिष्यामि
अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु
माम् अवतु तद्वक्तारम् अवतु
अवतु वक्तारम्
अवतु माम् तद्वक्तारम्
शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृण्वां देवा
भद्रं भद्रं पद्येमा अक्षवी
तुष्टुवांशुतनुभिः
श्रीरुयास्तुष्टुषत्तनुभिः
यथायो
वशीमायुः गम्य आयु
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Om
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 Shanti
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 Shanti।
Shanti।
আহ, আজ আমাদের ব্রহ্ম উপলব্ধি 1004তম পর্ব। আজ 2025 সালের নভেম্বর মাসের 9 তারিখ, রবিবার। Today we are speaking from United States of America, from South Florida, from the premises of University of South Florida. And they have in the premises they have a large size hotel, this Hotel Embassy under Hilton. uh, I'm actually now speaking from there. This digital Sunday talk is 296th in the series. Today we are going to talk on a very special subject, which is Chit, Ananda, the truth, bliss, and truth, consciousness, and bliss. This is actually the ultimate objective of a devotee to realize the form of God in transcendental form. The worship that we have just now offered to the divine in the form of invocation of the Vedas, the Vedic sages have actually mentioned things on our transcendental mode, and transcendence is the very essence of the Vedic civilization and the Vedic truth. I'll just mention the English rendering of the verses that we have just now collectively uttered for the benefit of our international listeners, uh, for now and for future. Vedas, in its own four different components, it has uttered the truth in different manner, the same truth. And the invocation is the invocation of the supreme truth in the person. And after I read out the translation, one may understand that it is so universal in nature and does not contain a selfish desire of a devotee in this. The Rig Veda says the invocation starts with Vangme Manosi Pratisthita, Manohe Bhaji Pratisthita. The entire part of this Rigvedic verse, the meaning of which, O Lord, you be seated in my mind, on my words, and let me speak your tongue. Through me you speak out, thus get revealed to me and to the world. Let your wisdom be open to me in my senses, and let me get immersed in your wisdom throughout. I accept your eternal truth in my life and vow to maintain the same in my practice. I vow to live life on your eternal truth. I urge you to protect the wisdom in me and maintain its flow. Let the wisdom be protected and revealer of the soul as well be protected. We pledge refuge in you and let poise prevail upon always in this world. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let poise prevail upon always in this world. So, in this verse, you find that the devotee is calling upon God to have the blessed presence of the divine wisdom in her or his being, and in such a manner that her or his words, thoughts, everything is deluged in the wisdom of the divine. And it's not targeted, aimed anyway at the personal material benefit of the individual. Let's come to the next, the Samvedas. It started with Om Appayantu Mama Angani Bako Pranaha Chakshu. O Lord, I invite you to get deluged in my organs of words, vital, and vision. Also in the organ of hearing and infuse vital energy in all organs. May I have the realization of Brahman, the Supreme, all profound, and the unipresence. Do never abandon me or reject my submissions in any way. Let the Supreme become merged in my consciousness. Your spirit be with me in all situations, always. Let poise prevail upon always in the world. So here again we find the invitation is again to the inner organs, inner understanding of the person, in the vision, in the organs, in hearing, everything, where the wisdom is invited to be seated in its transcendental form to benefit not just the person, to benefit not just you and me, but to benefit all. And the final outcome would be the poise for everyone in this world. Let's proceed to the next. The next one on Purna Madaha Purna Vida Purnat Purnam Udachyate. This is a part of the Yajurveda. Yajurveda, as it is known now to most people, that has been presented in two different splits. One is Shukla Yajurveda and the other one is Krishna Yajurveda. There is a purpose in this division between Yajurveda. Yajurveda is a science of consecration, surrender. The science of consecration requires consecration as a whole in totality, which is in the Shukla Yajurveda or the white Yajurveda. And again, the consecration requires in minute forms or in the elemental level, at the level of your elements, the saints, the individual level, the collective level, again individual level and the collective level. So the Krishna Yajurveda talks about the collective consciousness and emergence of the individual consciousness. After the individual consciousness is emerged, then the collective consciousness is collated together to present. So now I'll give the English rendering of the Shukla Yajurveda, the invocation of Shukla Yajurveda. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate. It says, O Lord, you are the whole in my understanding here. You are the full everywhere. You are the wholesome in the understanding of this cosmic spirit. Your wholeness does not get reduced at all in any situation, even if it is fully assumed to be taken out. If even if you gift it alone to else, the resultant remains the whole again at the end. You remain the whole always in all situations. Let poise prevail upon always in the world. Therefore, again, here the Shukla Yajurveda or the white Yajurveda, we find that the sage or the sages coming under this category of the Vedas, they are having the invocation to the divine to have the wholesome presence in a place, in one revelation or in one observation or in one realization. And again, the idea or the perception is uh, mentioned here that even if the wholesome is presented by the divine to someone, one person, or to one part of the world, again the wholesome remains with him. That means he is eternal in such manner that he is endless, he is infinite in the true sense of the term, wherein the span, the dimension, the vastness of the infinite does not get reduced by any of part of it or even the whole gifted out to somewhere else if it is possible. Therefore, it talks about the wholeness of the Supreme, and the Supreme remains the whole every time, everywhere. And again, the prayer for poise for the world, for everyone, is there at the end of it. And the sages, give a call that let it prevail always. We come to the Krishna Yajurveda part 1. Krishna Yajurveda part 1, it says, Om Sahanau Vavatu Sahanau Gunaktu Sahaviryam Karava Vahi. Krishna Yajurveda part 1, it talks about, it gives a prayer to the Supreme, saying, O Lord, while I consecrate upon you, please protect me, protect the guide in my life, distribute everything evenly the results, and infuse vital energy in me and the guide to create a harmony always in the creation. So here the and then again let poise prevail upon in the world. The the prayer that goes here, the devotee asks for peace in the situation. The devotee asks for a protection of her or him from the divine, for herself, for himself, and for the spiritual guidance or the spiritual guide. And in that case, the devotee is distributive in her or his idea and judgment, wherein one wants to consider that the spread of this wisdom occurs evenly throughout, meaning it goes around. The learning that I take place, I get from that learning should be spread out to the entire world, to the entire civilization. So again, you find that there is no selfish intent of the person here. The person is here out to ask for, the grace of the divine for the entire civilization, so that the learning of the wisdom or the inculcation of the wisdom properly takes place in the life and functioning of the person. Now we come to the next part of the Krishna Yajurveda, wherein it starts with Om Shangno Mitraha Shang Varunaha Shangno Vauti Aryomaha Shangno Indraha Brihasputihi Shangno Vishnu Urukrama. It says, O Lord, let your embodied presence as the sun god, God of water, God of air, and God of power be graceful to humanity. Let Brihaspati and Vishnu, Angirasa, Ariyama be all grateful to the humanity. I prostrate before you and on behalf of everyone, and also I prostrate before the air, because you are present in the air, you are invisibly present everywhere, and you are the supreme form of the Brahman. You are present everywhere, and you accept the eternal truth, and that in action for us as a principle. And I pray to you that you award that to humanity as the eternal truth in principle and eternal truth in action. And you get revealed in all phases. You protect the truth in everyone and allow everyone to live on your truth and be present in the context and get revealed to the devotee. Do not create a distance from the devotees, from the humanity. Always we remain with you. Let poise prevail upon the world. So it is more intense again. Krishna Yajurveda is that segment of the Vedas which offers the active principle of spirituality in individual and the collective form, in the form of the theory of Atman. It offers the theory of Atman, Atma Tattva, and it offers the transcendental form of God in the reality and connects the human world to the transcendental world through the devotion process of devotion and maintaining the normal proper life towards achieving that. So that is about the Krishna Yajurveda, both the parts. Now we come to the Atharva Veda. It begins with Om Vadrang Karnevhi Shranam Deva Vadrang Pushema Akshavihi Yajutra. Atharva Veda is, as it has been mentioned, that including the two segments of Krishna Yajurveda, it is the fifth of the Vedic representation. And here, the, the invocation says, O Lord, make us realize such that we hear the good words. Bhadran Karnevi Shrinvam Deva. We hear the good words from around. We see the good things all around. And whenever we try to realize you, let your realization be planted in us and we live up to the realization throughout our process of living in the life. And let peace be established in all situations and poise be there in the world. So now we find that again in Atharva Veda, which is known as the action principle of the Vedic, entire Vedic wisdom, again in the action principle of the entire Vedic wisdom, the invocation says that it is actually for the transcendental supreme truth, transcendental supreme wholeness, which the sages have actually uh, given the prayer for or made the prayer for. The realization is a process which is learned through a meditative way or through different way. The Vedic way of realization is the meditative way. The meditative way is it begins with the meditation. The meditation is putting your mind concentrated, and with the mind having concentrated, you can understand the supreme reality hovering around, and you can understand the very basic thing that the supreme reality is something which you are contained within. I'll now go, mention something comparative and for the understanding of the world wisdom, for the information which I wish to provide to the world community, that this concept of transcendental being concept of transcendental truth is first in the Vedas, starting from Rig Vedas until the end of Atharva Veda, and detailed out in such a fashion that it's until today nowhere in a single cultural context or in a single context in the world it is present. That does not mean that it should remain away and separated out. It means that it should give encouragement to everyone, all faiths and all cultural contents of the human civilization. I'll just mention only one comparison I'll mention today, wherein I'll mention how the spirit of the Vedas have actually encouraged and gone into the consciousness and the mind of the great thinkers of some part of the world in the ancient period. Let's begin with the ancient period, and we'll have the time to discuss how it has gone into the scientific civilization and what are the actual impacts of that in the framing of scientific mind. Not those pseudo scientists, those who are small scientific fries across the world. They are people who jump across, but those who are real, magnanimous scientists in the world, they I am talking about and referring to them only. Only those top few I am referring to. Now I am going to mention what Lao Tse from China has mentioned. After I read out, it's a summary of Lao Tse's Book of Tao. This summary is done by me based on the modern library translation of the entire Lao Tse, which I have gone through. Modern library translation of the entire Lao Tse is available. Those who have an idea, they know that in America it is very popular, the modern library publication of the ancient literature of the world. And that publication goes for a very rational translation of respective themes. And I'll give reference of also after I read out and discuss the modern library in a reference for our Upanishads. They have not gone up to the Vedas, but they have given reference and mentioned Upanishad also. Now I'm going to mention about what Lao Tse has mentioned as a core philosophy of ancient China. And before I get into this, this is a summary of Lao Tse's the entire book of Tao. Summary I picked up from the very basic parts of it, right from the beginning until the end. I have found out certain basic modules, and I have picked up the basic modules from there. Those basic modules, which are fundamental and guiding things, guiding principles in the Lao Tse's theory, Lao Tse's the concept which has been put across to the world. There have been some, scholars from European region, particularly some of the scholars from Cambridge and Oxford. They have mentioned that the Book of Tao is the first book of the transcendental understanding, and later on, they have not mentioned anything about the Vedic civilization or the Vedic verses, but later on there are separate stream of scholars from the same two institutions who have actually recognized that the spirit of the transcendental truth has been there in the Vedas, but they have not gone to the point of the original meaning, the original depiction of the Vedas being the seeding of the ideas for the world of ideas on the transcendental truth about human civilization and the connection of God the Supreme in the transcendental form with the other thoughts and other ideas of divinity, other ideas of spirituality which is prevailing in the entire humanity across the world. Some of those very major principles which are drawn from Lao Tse are Zen philosophy, and Zen philosophy has actually worked a lot in the some of the Asian regions and some of the Asian countries, and they have got some impact on Buddhism as well. So these have got a link later on with others. Now, I'm trying to point out the fundamental, the basic, which they have presented. Just to mention here, Lao Tse, Confucius, and Buddha, they are not much of difference in their, presence in the world. Only just a few decades of difference between Lao Tse to Buddha and then to Confucius. Just a few decades of difference within an ambit of only eight to 10 decades. All three, great scholars, great personalities have, presented their good thoughts for the human transformation in their own way. Thus, is mentioning the principle of Tao. The principle of Tao, he has categorized Tao in two ways. One is the absolute Tao, the other one is, the functional or the empirical Tao. Absolute Tao is the absolutism. And the same absolute Tao has been, taken. I'm not saying from here because, they may feel bad. But then, if you rationally analyze, you will find there is a connection. The Sufi doctrine of the wholesome, holism, the Al-Haq is also the absolute Tao. And after I read out, you'll find it is just part of the replica of what we are talking in terms of the Brahman. The principle of Tao on the absolute Tao. The Tao that can be told of is not that absolute Tao. The names that can be given are not the absolute names. The nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of all things. Now you see, from the absolutism, it comes to the segmented and the revealed form. The nameless, when you have the nameless is the origin, but when you have the named is the one which is mothering this entire world. And the named one is one which is now reproducing the others. So here, now let us stop here and go back to our Rig Vedas. And Rig Vedas, we find, and in Krishna Yajur Veda, we find some of the principal, concepts. There was a, dialogue between Nochiketa and Yama, the god of religion, the god of, the righteousness. Yama is the god of righteousness, and he actually is out there to correct the creation and from the erroneous things. And he looks at the tenure driven things. When the tenure ends, he takes out the things which is blood by tenure and goes for the new tenure or the new creation. So when it is tenure driven, then what happens is you have a, understanding. If you have to have an understanding, you have an understanding of the truth within the period of that tenure. Sarve Veda Yat Padam Amanastihi Yat Ichanti Brahmacharya Cha Charanti Tatte Padam Sangrahena Brahvimi Iti Om Iti Eta. Now the Yama is talking to Nachiketa, a young person. Nachiketa is an aspirant to understand the nature of the Supreme. People think that Nachiketa had a question that what will happen to the life after death. Actually, the way the Nachiketa had asked, this can have that kind of meaning. But the intent that Nachiketa had to understand from the Lord of Righteousness, Lord of Dharma, that the emergence of truth throughout, or the revelation of the truth supreme, needs to be known. What is the nature of that? What is it all about? How is it connected with the creation? If at all, if it is connected with the creation, then what is that connection? Whether it's connected with the creation in the sense of the term that we, the human being, understand or not, or we have a connection with this as a kind of external entity or an externally imposed wisdom on us. Now Yama gave the answers to Nachiketa, beginning with that he says, now I am going to tell you the summary of what the transcendental science of God talks about. And in the summary, what is he saying? Etat eva hi aksharam Brahman, etat eva hi aksharam param, etat eva hi aksharam jnanam, yaha yat ichanti tasya tat. And then he elaborates by saying the nature of this supreme transcendental truth, na jayate mriyate ba vipashchit, na ayam babhuva kutoshchita va kashchita ajaha nityaha shashvataha ayam puranaha na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Now let's concentrate on only these two words and again move to Taoism. Here the understanding that gets into Nachiketa's mind is Yama has mentioned that the Supreme is ageless, doesn't have any birth, no date, it's immortal, it's immortal and it's eternal, it's present in the realm of time. Again, it's transcendental always. It does not have any origin or end, has a continuity, and it's supreme of everything. It's the supreme truth, prevalent, without the impact and influence of any other kinds like time, space, or any kind of impact of individual influence or any influence. And the same thing has been there in the Tao principle, wherein it's mentioned the absolute Tao, on the absolute Tao. The Tao that can be told of is not the absolute Tao. Meaning the absolute, you cannot describe the absolute because it's beyond your power to describe, to actually describe the absolute in totality. The names that can be given are not absolute names. So the names we ascribe to them, and that's not the exact fitting in names, but we can give the names. And what does it say? The nameless is the origin of the heaven and the earth, meaning the transcendental absolute is the original creator of the entire universe, the entire creation. And the named is the mother of all things. That we find later on, wherein the concept of mother has appeared in our Vedas, in the some Vedas, concept of mother has appeared, and some Vedas has mentioned about the mother as Uma Haimavati, and Uma Haimavati appeared in the infinite sky, and it's the concept of mother which has been put across by the God of gods, whom we worship, and the worship of Lord Shiva accordingly. So he had advanced, put across the concept of mother for the benefit of the world. Now here, the again, Lassie gives the character of the Tao. Tao is all pervading and its use is inexhaustible. As we have mentioned in our Shukla Yajurveda, Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Va Avadoseswat. It is actually that. It is actually that which is, a fullness or the wholeness, and the wholeness remains always in all situations, even if the Supreme gives out the wholeness to something or someone. He gives out the wholeness to something or someone, even then he retains and he is the whole as can be thought about, as can be imagined for. So he remains whole in all situations, even after gifting away the wholeness from his wholesome. So wholeness always remains. Then he comes to, Lhasa comes to the four eternal models. You will find the surprising similarity also here. Before the heaven and earth existed, there was something nebulous, silent, isolated, standing alone, changing not, eternally revealing without fail, worthy to be the mother of all things, worthy to be the mother of all things. Meaning the creation got started from there. And therefore, what is the nature of the creation? The nature of the creation is that the sage has discovered the truth, saying, Adhanana evaha agre asit. Atmana evaha agre asit. This Atman was there in the beginning, in the form of the transcendental, infinite. What is the name given? The name given is Bhuma. Bhumahi eva kevalam. It was only the vast infinite existence. And the vast infinite existence was in what form? In the form of void. So the vast infinite existence in the form of void is the starting point, And from there, the formations start. Why was the creation required? Saha ikshataha. Saha ikshataha no Saha ikshataha no nrishijitaha. He had an intent, the supreme. Now, question arises, how do I perceive the concept of supreme at that level? So those who are spiritual seekers, my suggestion to them would be not to get into the complications of all the the expansion of the vastness or the categorical vastness or conceptualizing the vastness, but to focus on the Spirit of God and to invoke it, the Spirit of God within. The Vedic sages had said that infinite vastness is the origin, and from that origin, infinite vastness, the Creator, he actually thought of taking a form. So he took the form of the original, of all, beginning of all the origins. There are a lot of descriptions, there are a lot of elaborations by later people. This is not actually in sequential with the Vedic revelations, which is the first one of its kind. And there she'll find the transcendental being himself had thought about this. And after this truth was uncovered, the sages sat together and the sages they had discussed that this truth in eternal form and truth in transcendental form has been discovered. But how will humanity, how will human society try to conceive of this truth or understand this truth? Then the senior sages, including says Vasishta, and practically guided by him, they took the initiative of representing the entire Vedic truth through the form of the formed God. And that's how the concept of Lord of Lords, Devadi Dev, came into being. The concept of the Lord of Lords came into being. The Lord of Lords was the first who had the intent to create himself and create others. So this is how the creation occurs through a void, the formations, and through the formations, the perpetuation. And the perpetuation, when it occurs, then it is given to the mother. Then it becomes the role of mother in the creation, and the role of mother continues. Now here we find the next step. Tao has gone to the further analysis, which is know yourself, knowing oneself. He who knows others is learned. He who knows himself is wise. He who conquers others has power of muscle. He who conquers himself is strong within. He who contended is rich. He who is determined has strength of will. He who does not lose his center endures. He who dies yet his power remains, has a long life. Now he again talks about the pursuit of knowledge. These are practical applications of Lao Tse's principle as mentioned by Lao Tse in the Taoism. Without stepping outside one's doors, one can know what is happening in the world. Without looking out of one's windows, one can see the Tao of the heaven. And then he talks about the people's hearts. The good ones I declare are good. The bad ones I also declare as good. That is the goodness of virtue. The honest ones I believe, the liars I also believe. That is the faith of virtue. I know that somebody is good, I believe. I know that somebody is bad, also I believe. I know that somebody is honest, I have faith in. I come to know that somebody is a liar, also I offer my faith in that person. This is the virtue. Virtue is allowing the person to proceed in her or his own way, and with the hope that finally the person will converge to the goodness. So the hope remains for the goodness. So now that I have mentioned about what Lao Tse in his Taoism has mentioned, Lao Tse's the Tao principles, I'll now come to the Vedic thoughts about the fundamentals in more details and in more foundation of the thoughts. Now, one would find that if we take into account of the details, and if we get into the details, we find unfortunate thing is the Vedas has hardly been touched upon by Indian scholars, and that too by the scholars of the world. Those who have touched upon Vedas, they have given their sporadic views of some part of it and with some comments made which are unfounded. Many of the comments are unfounded, baseless comments. But then these are prevailing because of the narrowness of the knowledge about the Vedas. So the journey of Shuddha, which for the understanding of the global, international listeners and international scholars mentioning that the website that has been mentioned and being maintained in the interest of knowledge by Shotetpad last almost close to it is 2.5 decades, close to 2.5 decades. It's www.satyerpath.org. Satyerpath.org. In this, you will get a total philosophy of Satyerpath. This is based on the original Vedas. This is not based on somebody's, explanation of the Vedas, not based on someone's personally chosen, picked up some part of the Vedas and rejecting others of the Vedas. Not that. It is, the original spokes organ of the Vedas, probably the first of its kind in human civilization. And it talks about the truth that has been usured in the Vedas from the very beginning and until the end of it. The Vedas talked about the Brahman, the Supreme, as the creator, maintainer, and continuation of everything in this creation. It has been mentioned Urdu Mulaha Avako Shakha Esho Aswataha Sanatanaha Tatevo Shukram Tat Brahman Tat Evam Amritam Uchate. Now, Tatevo Shukram Tat Brahman. There was a discussion among the senior sages in the early Rigvedic period about how to make the entire Vedic truth revealed to the humanity in a summarized way. And then they thought that we need to have the worship of the Lord of Lords and have the benefit of Lord of Lords in the form of the meditative presence of Him in the universe. He is the meditative origin of the meditative presence in the universe, and He is not only the origin but also the maintainer of the truth and spirit. Now, how is the spirit maintained? It is maintained because of the creation of time. From the voyage, the journey of life begins through the time. Time makes things happen. The space of time creates the space in life. The time progresses forward with the creation of things and events in life. And through that, the formations occur. Therefore, the sages had said that we need to understand. For example, the revelation of the divine says, Urdhva Moolam Abhako Shaka, meaning it's a big, massive, infinitely large and infinitely, present the fig tree, or you can think of a banyan tree, which is so large, so infinite that it cannot have just still you consider it as a tree, and the tree is upside down, meaning its roots are on the upper sky, the infinite sky. The roots of the tree lies in the infinite sky. What is the implication of having said that the roots are there in the infinite sky? The implications are this, or this has been mentioned because this tree of life, this is a tree of life in the creation, meaning the entire creation is a sum total of things contained within this tree. All animals, all lives, all humans, all plants, all shrubs, all plants, all herbs, everything put together is there contained. All living things in water, in air, on soil, everywhere. So this tree is a summative one. It contains everything within itself in a granular form in elemental existence. So the tree contains the entire elemental existence of things in the creation in the world, and this is known as the tree of life, the divine tree, the cosmic tree. The cosmic tree has got now the Urdhva Moolam Abhaka Shaka. Its roots are on the upper sky. The meaning is roots are there for collecting the vital from the, if you look at a tree on the soil, the roots are there grained inside the soil. Beneath the soil it grows and it collects the food materials like minerals and others, water, its food, it collects, it invites from the soil, from beneath the soil, and all those things, are attracted to the roots, and roots have got the magnetic power to attract those things from across, from around, and they spread their tentacles, small sub branches of the roots beneath the soil, and through that they collect the food items, the nourishment from the soil, and that nourishment, the food item, these are assimilated together forward and combine to get into the living pattern and pushed up to the trunk of the tree, and then gradually it's spread out to the branches and the leaves of the tree across. So this is how the cosmic tree is collecting from the upper sky, from the infinite sky, from the infinite void. So from the infinite void, it collects and collates. It has got the power to attract those things, but the vital energy to survive, and it gives to whom? It provides all these energy elements through its branches and leaves to the entire creation. In fact, the creation embodies the place. Creation, each one is there which occupies the space within this tree. So each one of us is a part of the tree. And we remain in the tree, we continue to remain in the tree. And when we continue to remain in the tree, we get the nourishment from the tree. We get support from the tree in terms of its own vital energy drawn from. So the divine has created an arrangement through which the entire creation is sustained. So when we talk about the things of sustainability, we need to keep in mind in our own pace the sustainability is ensured unless we endanger ourselves by enhancing the space or multiplying the pace in such a manner that we start exploiting the facilities or exploiting the features of the nature in an abrupt manner, and the moment we start exploiting the features of the nature, we exploit our future and we damage our future, and that's how the concern should arise for the concern for sustainability in the human world. And here the sages have mentioned that this Urdhva Abaka Shakha, meaning this Urdhva Abaka Shakha is one where we need to have the presence, we need to think of the presence of the Supreme. Now, what is the nature of the Supreme? How can we understand the Supreme? The sages have identified the nature of the Supreme, and the way we can understand the Supreme, they have identified, which I have already mentioned. The Supreme cannot be reached out by any empirical element. Natatra surayavati nachandra tarakam नयेमा विद्युतवान्ति कुतः अयम् अग्निः त्वमेव वन्तं अनुवाति सर्व्यं तस्य वासा सर्व्यं idam vivad. Again, the lot of dharma, a lot of righteousness is mentioning to Nachiketa, saying that if you want to have an understanding, a realization of the Supreme, then you have to have a realization of the Supreme Brahman in your consciousness. So your consciousness can reach out to Him provided your consciousness is following the right track in the right manner and has attained the capacity to reach out. Because the sun with its own rays cannot reveal Him, the sun cannot reveal Him. Natatra Suraya Vati. The sun cannot reach out to that place where he is to be identified and cast its own, solar rays to see that it cannot. Na Chandra Tarakam, the moon, the stars, they also cannot reach out to the same. Naima Vidyutavanti Kutaha Ayam Agni. So even the lightning of the sky, it cannot. And what could be the power of fire to reach out? It cannot. So how can he be reached out? Tvam eva vantam anuvati sarvyam. Meaning he is present everywhere. Yet you cannot see. Yet the sun cannot see him, yet the moon cannot see him, yet the stars cannot see him. Yet you cannot reach out to him through the vehicles of lightning. Yet the fire cannot reach out to him. But how can you reach out to him? How can you see him? Tvameva vantam anuvati sarvyam tusya vasa sarvyam idam vivati. He is himself present in everything. He is himself present everywhere. He is himself present in every way. And his presence can be obtained, can be realized from everything, from everywhere. Therefore, he has to be looked into as a cosmic transcendental being. So, what is the truth now? The Vedic sages are telling the truth is the ultimate truth. What is that ultimate truth? The ultimate truth is you have the presence of the Supreme Divine everywhere. And what is the nature of that? Etat evahi aksharam Brahman. The supreme truth is supreme in all respect, is not to be identified with any kind of form and God in any kind of form or any kind of form of any identity. But then again, how can you get his revelation? Now comes the answer saying, Tvameva vantam anuvati sarvyam tasya vasha sarvyam idam vivati. If the Supreme desires to get revealed to you in some way or the other, for example, there are people who say that the formless cannot be think of in a form. Like the God is all almighty, all powerful, and he is so vast, so great is his power and strength that he cannot be thought of in any kind of form. So any form that you create is a kind of doll, and so God cannot be present in a doll, or God cannot be present in any human form because he is having such a vast power and strength, and therefore he cannot be thought about to be present in a small form. Now, this is a fallacy which they should review themselves and they will realize and understand at some point of time. Whoever is saying this in the world, from wherever is this saying coming, the point I urge the person and urge those people to look into their own consciousness and see that if someone has got that power and authority to have the entire thing, entire position, create everything in this world, cannot this person, cannot he conceive himself for his own pleasure in a particular form, maybe in a human form, and have a divine play as a human form? Because if you have to create a good humanity, if you have to create a good world, then you have to infuse the good thoughts and good values among people of art. And whoever who can give the best practices or who can train them best, except God Himself being present. This is the reason why the people on earth get the revelation of God from time to time in their own manner, in their own way, in their own segment, in their own, life, in their own culture, in certain forms. So God comes on earth and gets revealed through a human form and in other form. And through that, the transcendental being is now, the cosmic being is now present in the human world in a human context. And therefore, the Vedic sages are saying there is a connection that he, this transcendental, this whole self, he is very small and very large at the same time. Anaho aniyan mahato mahiyat atmasya yanto vihito guhayam. Tamakrotu pashanti vita shokaha dhatu prasada tatmanam tatmayanam pashanti. Meaning he is present in the smallest of the small form, and he is present in the larger than the largest forms. He is present in all forms, and he can offer you the noble qualities, the qualities that you have within yourself. You have to nurture them. And where do you have? He says, Angushta matra purusha antaratmaha sada jananang hridaye sat nivishtaha tatsat shrirat pravihet munjatehe ishikam daryena. Angushta matra purusha sada jananam hridaye sat nivishtaha. Meaning he is residing always everywhere in all persons' cardiac center, the heart, in a very, very small place in the form of Atman. And this Atman can get revealed in the form of consciousness within your human frame. And you have to conceive of that. The sage is mentioning Hridayasya shatam cha ekaha nadiya tesham ekaha murdhanam abhinishitaha taya urdham ayanam amritam tam itihi. So within the cave of the heart, there are 101 different sizes of vessels, connecting cords within. The biological understanding is yet to reach out to that minuscule, that minute details. It is not yet done. However, the spiritual understanding is that 101 connecting vessels are there within the cave of the heart, and it connects with our spinal column in the conscious region, and stimulates the consciousness through the main aorta, the main vessel, not aorta, main vessel. Its name given is Murdha, Murdhana. Murdha is the name given by the sages. This is the main pathway of the passage of consciousness. And the passage of consciousness connects from the cave of the heart through the spinal column to the brain, and it goes to the top of the brain, and it now connects with the upper atmosphere and the entire cosmic system. So when you are in a meditation of God, when you are thinking of God in a meditative form, you are fully absorbed, your mind is dedicated to that. What should be the condition of the mind? This condition of the mind should be a pure mind. What is the meaning of purity of mind? The meaning of purity of mind is a mind which is free from all desires, and free from all kind of material, instincts and obligations or material attractions. So that mind which is free from all those material things, that mind which is tuned to God and God only, that mind is a free mind and a pure mind. And a pure mind can now conceive of the divine, now think of divine in this way. So now the Murdha is activated in that pure mind context. Now, in the pure mind context, when you are thinking of God and you are devoting yourself to the divine, the Supreme Spirit, and the Spirit gets revealed to you gradually, and the Spirit is now gradually covering your entire consciousness up for the transformation of the human consciousness to our divine consciousness. This is known as the transcendental journey of a human being on earth. And in this transcendental journey, what you get is your consciousness, which were earlier erstwhile having the impact of human elements, in that having a lot of desires and calculations of material and worldly in nature. Now you get rid of those things, you get avoid, you remove those things, you reject those things, The mind becomes pure, and with the pure mind at the base of it, what you get is the pure mind now begets the power of consciousness, and you have the consciousness, elevated consciousness, is now, gradually covering you up, and the murdha is now activated, energized. With the murdha having energized, your heart and your brain is connected with each other, and you are now totally, thoroughly devoted to the divine, and the divine in any way. Either you think of divine as a formless, or you think of divine with some form of your choice. You have the idea and the impression of the divine within, and the divine consciousness is now residing within yourself, and you'll find the divine consciousness becomes the supreme consciousness of yours, and your material consciousness is getting replaced by the divine consciousness. You are now a transcendented being. You have the idea now what Chit Ananda represents. You now have the feel of the divine within. You have the blissful condition within. You find that the blissful condition is now getting gradually your entire internal being is deluged in that, and you find now you are drenched in the power of God. You are drenched in the spirit of the divine. You are drenched in the consciousness of the divine. Satchidananda is now totally, fully accepting you, embracing you within yourself. You find God the Supreme present in you, around you, and through you to the world. We need to transform the human world to a divine world. If we have to transform the human world to a divine world, we need to transform our internals, our intrinsics first, our intrinsics to begin with. We need to transform ourselves, and for that, with a pure mind, you aspire for this supreme divinity, the consciousness of the supreme divine within, and you get it over a period of time based on the intense love and affection, intense love and dedication that you have for that supreme divine. Based on that, you get it. You can get it even now if you have got that intense search for the divine. That supreme consciousness is the revelation of Satchidananda. Sat is truth, Chit is consciousness, Ananda is bliss. You are now blessed with the blissful consciousness, and now you understand the truth in reality, the wholesome truth everywhere having present. I offer my consecration to Satchidananda, the Supreme Divine, on behalf of everybody. Let this Supreme Consciousness get rekindled or kindled out within each individual, and let the hearts, now orient itself, each individual heart orient itself towards the Divine Consciousness and stimulate the Murdha to get connected with the Supreme Divine, oh God. We shall now have the chanting. আমরা আবার বেদমন্ত্র পাঠ করব, সবাই পার্টিসিপেট করুন। ॐ वाग्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनहो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठिता
वासि
मे मनोषि प्रतिष्ठिता
प्रतिष्ठिता
मनमेवासि प्रतिष्ठितम्
आविहि मे वेदस्यामानि सह श्रुतं मे मा बृहसिहा
वेदजामानिष्टमस्तुतं मे देवशिव
अनेनोदितेन अहोरात्रां संददामि
अनेनाधितेन होरात्रं
ददामि
संददामि
हितं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि
रीतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि
मामवतु तद्भक्तारामवतु
तन्ममावतु तद्भक्तारमवतु
अवतु मामवतु भक्तारामवतु भक्ताराम्
अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम् अवतु भक्तारम्
ओम शांति शांति शांति
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ओम आप्यायन्तु मम अङ्गानि वाक्प्राणः
आपयन्तु मम अङ्गानि वाक्प्राणं चक्षुः
पुत्रमथः बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि
श्रोत्रमथाप्यानि च सर्वाणि
ब्रह्मोपनिषदाम्
सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषद्
माहं ब्रह्म निरकुर्यात् माम ब्रह्म निरकरोत्
माहं ब्रह्म निरकुर्यात् मां ब्रह्म निरकरोत्
निराकरणमस्तु निराकरणमेऽस्तु
निराकरमस्तु निराकरमेऽस्तु
नमस्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु
धर्मस्ते मयि सन्तु ये मयि सन्तु
शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
पूर्णमादः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते
पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेव अवशिष्यते
पूर्णश पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते
शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ सहनो भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु
भवतु तानो भुनक्तु
करवावहै
वीर्यं करवावहै
येनो अधितमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै
तेजस्विनो अदितमसो मा विद्विषावहै
शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
वरुणः शान्नो भवति हरियो नमः
ॐ शां मित्रः शां वरुणः शां तनुपवि हरि नमः
नो इन्द्रः बृहस्पतिः शां विष्णुरुक्रमः
शां न इन्द्रियः बृहस्पतिः शां न विष्णु गुरुरमः
नमः ब्रह्मणे नमः देवाय
Namo
नमः ब्रह्मणे नमः देवाय
प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मसि
त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मयसि
शिव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि
त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि
वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि
सत्यं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि
तद्वक्तारामवतु
तद्माम् अवतु तद्वक्तारम् अवतु
मामवतु वक्ताराम्
अवतु माम् वक्तारम्
शांति शांति शांति
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
भद्रं कर्णे भीषणां देवा
ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शरणं देवा
भद्रं पश्येमाक्षवीयजोत्रः
वरं पश्येमा
उदयाङ्गै दुष्टवांशतनूभिः
स्थिरैरङ्गै तुष्ट्वांशतनूभिः
देवहीतं यतायु
वशेमद्गुहितं यत् आयुः
शांति शांति शांति
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
তারপরে একটু 2 মিনিট ধ্যান করবো now 2 minutes meditation by all of us 2 minutes meditation Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai. We now close here. We shall meet again the next Sunday or Indian Standard Time, 5:30 p.m. আমরা আবার আগামী আমরা আগামী রবিবার 5:30 আবার মিলিত হব।
স্যার প্রণাম নেবেন স্যার।
নেবেন স্যার।
এই সর্বদা
স্যার প্রণাম।
প্রণাম নেবেন।
All the touching your holy feet, sir. Pranam, sir. Pranam.
all the best.
Thank you.